Last summer, I organized Entrepreneur, a virtual entrepreneurship conference where over 1,000 students were brought together to hear the success stories of adult entrepreneurs, collaborate with like-minded peers, and pitch their ideas for a chance to win prizes. Despite several time zone differences, which resulted in less than ideal programming for international students, we had a staggering number of students flock to the event, sacrificing their sleep just to hear from distinguished speakers and workshop hosts. And perhaps more importantly, build a startup over the course of a weekend. The idea of bringing something together in 48 hours is itself advantageous, daunting even. I expected most students my age to back away from the prospect of having to create something new entirely from scratch. Instead, they welcomed the opportunity, enticed by the challenge of solving a real-world problem. Surprised by their overwhelming tenacity and immense ambition, I wondered, are the youth more inclined to entrepreneurship than their adult counterparts? And is their extreme motivation and dedication a huge benefit in the developmental stages of a company, or a long-term detriment to the well-being of the company? So first of all, I'm curious for you all, what is the first thing that comes to mind when I say the word successful entrepreneur? You may be thinking of someone like this, or at least that's what Google thought. Someone who has dropped out of university to pursue a dream, spent a few years in their parents' basement or dorm room, and was lucky enough to make it big. Why do I say that? Well, apart from the heightened media attention surrounding the age of standout entrepreneurs, research shows that younger leaders are more frequently endorsed for facilitating change, while older leaders are more endorsed for maintaining stability. This age-based bias causes subconscious associations to be made among entrepreneurial leaders. Looking back, I realized how pervasive ageism culture was across the field of entrepreneurship. Hallmarked by young, high-profile icons Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, who both dropped out of their first semester of university to pursue a company worth billions today. Entrepreneurship is associated with the youth and commonly regarded to be a young man's game. And this claim extends far past just these two individuals. In fact, the first Apple team and the scientists behind the atomic bomb were all astoundingly below the age of 35. Society today praises the values of resiliency and risk-taking that is so commonly associated with the youth. Through programs like Forbes 30 Under 30 recognizing exceptional business accomplishments, to reality television shows like Shark Tank, built around America's fascination with the investment and pitching process, America fosters the perfect environment for budding entrepreneurs to make their marks on the world. In fact, Paul Graham, the founder of the world's biggest and most successful seed stage startup accelerator, Y Combinator, once stated that people over the age of 38 lacked the energy to launch startups. Hearing this, I realized how demoralizing it could be that one's very instrument of success, the company, the incubator that produces billion-dollar companies today, doesn't truly believe in their effort. There is no denying that standout entrepreneurs tend to lie on the younger side of the workforce. This may be due to them having less obligations and responsibilities at the start of their careers, feeling less pressure to succeed, or simply because they have fresher and more creative perspectives to offer. While we really don't know concretely what contributing factor results in this pattern of success, the question remains, why are young people so prominent as the face of innovation despite a lack of experience? And taking another step back, are there more important characteristics than just age? Well, the fundamental essence of entrepreneurship is that anybody from any background can become an entrepreneur. The title is fluid, just like there is no one right way to start a company. Instead, entrepreneurship is an attitude of adaptability and spontaneity that can be cultivated throughout almost every aspect of life, from your typical 9-to-5 job, to performing high-level research, and even to something as simple as mowing your lawn. Over the course of the past few years, networking with those at the forefront of the entrepreneurial industry and resolving my own nonprofit and startup issues, I've identified 3 traits that are vital to entrepreneurship. The first is accepting that you will have to start from ground zero at least one point in your career. Inevitably, there will come a time, perhaps right now, not knowing where to start, or maybe in the future hitting rock bottom, where you will have no connections, no deals or sales, and no true way to distinguish yourself in the market. When I first founded TechShare to make STEM accessible to all, I practically had no experience teaching children, and no connections in other organizations that could partner with us and help us succeed. So I spent the next few weeks relentlessly advertising our workshops, cold calling numerous organizations from local libraries to international nonprofits, facing rejection after rejection, simply due to our lack of credibility as a student-run organization. Realizing we had to prove why our dedication to the cause was worth the risk, we finally landed our first event at the Boys and Girls Club and have held monthly events there ever since. So what I'm trying to say is that in order to be successful in the long run, you truly have to seize every opportunity that comes your way, be scrappy, and work towards that future gratification. You may know this mindset as the beginner's mindset, an attitude of openness, eagerness, and lack of preconceptions when studying a subject, just like a beginner. Embodying this mindset means you take risks, rebound from failures, and ask questions about things that for everybody else have become unquestioned assumptions. You should be able to challenge those assumptions by bringing an entirely new perspective and inventing a solution never thought of before, ultimately accepting that failure is an unavoidable part of that journey. The second step is being truly motivated to take action. How many times has someone said to you, "Oh wow, that's a great idea, you should pursue it and turn it into a reality." And then a few days go by, and it's still lingering in your mind, but not as big of a priority as it used to be. And then a few months go by, and you realize that you've forgotten about it altogether. I know I'm guilty. For years leading up to Entrepreneur, I'd been thinking about putting on an all-female make-a-thon, an idea sparked by various mentors who encouraged me to put on an event that would inspire younger Molly. But I've always told myself I never had the time or the resources to do so, hiding from the true reality that I was scared to fail. Many great ideas remain dormant because people are afraid of the risk, convince themselves they don't have the time or the resources, or simply because they don't know how. The way I overcame this challenge was by setting strict deadlines, both internal and external, where I could hold myself accountable while other people around me could as well. Whether you need to tell your friend about your ambitious goals, write it on a board in your wall, or post about it all over social media, lighting this internal fire will be crucial to taking the next steps towards action. The third and perhaps most obvious step is you have to be committed to the testing and iterative process. It is very common to see entrepreneurs that dread failure keep to themselves in the creative part of their journey. They guess and assume that their product or service is automatically wanted by the public without conducting proper market research, resulting in detrimental losses in time and money to the company. The first few TechShare workshops were admittedly pretty dull, assuming that my favorite types of content and ways of learning would be perceived the same by any audience. I soon discovered through the noise levels created and the inattentiveness and chattiness of our audience of fifth graders that that was definitely not the case. However, I valued experimentation and wanted to make our events better for the future. After 3 years of meticulously crafting the TechShare experience, we believe we have perfected our robotics workshop, which now culminates in a thrilling race of 5 robots, the part of the event the children are always most excited about. So overall, it is always important to follow up with your targeted audience and refine your product or service over and over until it matches their exact need, because ultimately they will be the ones fueling your company's growth over the next few years, and hopefully not you. Embracing adaptability, leaning into changes, and making yourself dispensable for the greater good of your work is the commitment that lies at the heart of entrepreneurship. It's the reason why so many child prodigies, youth geniuses, and wonder kids are able to discover their breakthrough ideas so early on in life, because they crave risk-taking, are relentless in inquiring, and challenge the status quo with an insatiable appetite for success. These 3 traits won't necessarily guarantee you success, but This innate drive of attaining a goal and satisfying a need will certainly put you on the right path. I envision a world where age is just a number, where 17 and 71-year-olds work side by side, building a brighter future for all. I envision a world where diversity of age and diversity of thought are prioritized the same, where it's never too early or too late to innovate. So I invite you to start implementing these shifts today. Start now by being inquisitive. When someone is actively trying to help you in your quest, soak up every detail they have to share. And when someone is trying to learn from your experiences, be as transparent as possible. You have the power to be a catalyst for generations of change makers to come. If you take nothing else away from my talk, let it be this. Age doesn't define entrepreneurial success. Your mindset does. To be an entrepreneur means you crave a diversity of perspectives, thrive off of differences in skill set, and flourish with a variety of approaches that will ultimately lead you to the right one. At Entrepreneur, I was awed by the immense ambition that the students showed. But what stood out to me the most wasn't the age of the students or the ability for them to come together, but rather their open mindset to growth that I believe we can all strive to achieve. It's not this or that, older adults versus the youth in a race of rapid innovation and discovery, but rather this and that, an intergenerational collaboration where our differences are overlooked and we can fulfill our goal of improving society as a whole. Thank you.